Some days you have a bad hair day, some days you have a bad makeup day, some days you have both together. But anyway, hi, hello, welcome or welcome back. Today I want to talk about book series and authors, and I'm going to rank their works. I know that a lot of times book series fall off, or authors start out not great and progress, or the other way around sometimes, God forbid. So I want to get into all the authors that I love, all the book series, and rank their rating for you. First, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. You know I have to say it. Okay, first author up is Adrienne Young. If you don't know her, she is primarily like a fantasy and magical realism author, and she has a ton of different books, but these are the ones that I've read, so we are gonna rank them. Bottom of the pile and bottom of the pyramid overall. Can I ever resist a Dance Moms reference? No, I don't think so. But anyway, in last place out of the books I've read by her is Namesake. This is book 2 in the Fable and Namesake duology, and it is YA, it's fantasy about pirates, but unfortunately this is my least favourite book of hers. I haven't even finished it yet, and I've been reading it since November because it's just quite slow and boring, so I already know that without a doubt it's got to be my least favourite, because normally I've finish her books like overnight. Then we're going to go to Fable. I actually really like Fable, gave it 4 stars. Again, like I say, is YA pirate fantasy. I haven't read a ton of pirate books. I feel like they're criminally underrated. This one is good, it's fun, but obviously the conclusion just doesn't end how I want it to, so it's not going to be up there with my other books by her. This is where it gets really hard, because the other 3 books that I have read by her, I've given them all 5 stars, but actually 2 of them are 6 stars. So let's talk about the one that is 5 star, which comes in at spot number 3, The Unmaking of June Farrow. I know that that is a super unpopular opinion because it is most people's favourite book by her and most people give it 5 stars. I did give it 5 stars, but the other 2 I have in my hand just beat this one. Like I said, I gave it 5 stars, so there's not really anything to criticise, but if I had to criticise to say why it's 3rd place, I would say that sometimes the plot was a little bit confusing and the time travel aspect was not always the best explained. How do I pick for second? This is so hard. No, I know which one it is, but it is really hard because they're completely different. Okay, I have settled on A Sea of Unspoken Things for second place. I think I'm in the minority with what I rated this book. I gave this book 6 stars. I absolutely loved it. It was my first 5 6-star read of the year so far. It is super short. It's like 280 pages. And it is a thriller mystery with the tiniest little bit of magical realism. I absolutely loved the characters in this. I loved the focus on like twin relationships. I thought that was super unusual. I loved the setting because it gave Fawkes from Twilight, and you know I stan Twilight. And I also loved the tiny bit of romance that we got in this book because it was one of my favourite tropes, which is second chance romance. So I absolutely loved this. However, the one that has beat it has just a little bit more magic in it, and you know I am a fantasy girly through and through. Okay, my favourite book by Adrienne in number 1 spot, top of the pyramid, is Spells for Forgetting, and I have this insane gorgeous edition. I absolutely love this book. It is like a combination of practical magic, Twilight, and then like a thriller crime series like The Sinner on Netflix, which is like 3 of my different favourite things. I know that as a hybrid of different genres and themes and tropes that this won't be for everyone, and I actually see this get really mixed reviews. I personally love it, especially the romance. The romance to me was so full of like yearning and tenderness. I absolutely ate it up. My absolute favourite thing about this, like I said, is the magic. The island itself is kind of sentient and magical, and it just gave me such eerie, witchy vibes. It fit the story and the themes perfectly. Like, I think about this book every single day. Next up, Emily Henry. I'm kind of nervous for this one. I don't know why. I feel like she's just very precious to a lot of people, and my thoughts are maybe not going to be the most popular because I feel like one of the things I'm about to say is going to upset some people. But nonetheless, I'm sure that you can guess which book is going to be my least favourite, because it tends to be most people's least favourite actually, and that is You and Me on Vacation, or People We Meet on Vacation, I think it's called in the US as well. This one is not a bad book by any means. I think I gave it 4 stars. It's just not as in-depth and emotional as her later works. You can really see how she has developed as a writer, both technically in her like sentence structure and flow, but also the themes she puts in and the emotional impact. And this one is just kind of more like a fun, cute rom-com, nothing more, nothing less, very enjoyable, but not groundbreaking. This is where the scary opinion comes in. Funny Story is in 4th place. I feel like people are going to be upset with that because I know a lot of people that love this book and gave it 5 stars. Again, I think I gave this like 4.5 at the time, and then I decreased it to like 4.25, and then I decreased it again to 4 stars because I just don't think about it at all. It hasn't really stuck out to me in my head as a memorable book or something that had an impact on me in any way. It was good. Again, like People We Meet on Vacation, it just didn't really pack a punch for me. I don't know what it was specifically. I loved Miles as a love interest. I loved that the main character, I think her name is Daphne, I loved that she was a librarian. That's about it. That was all I loved, really. I didn't love the actual plot or the themes in it. I didn't really feel an emotional connection too much. It was just good. Okay, in 3rd spot we have Book Lovers, but I feel the need to mention that Charlie Lastra is number 2 in the book boyfriends list. I actually really need to read this one again because this was the first ever rom-com that I read, and I do think that has obviously affected my rating in the sense that at the time I had absolutely nothing to compare it to. So I would like to read this again and see if my rating and my thoughts still stand, but as it happens right now it's 3rd spot because when I was reading it, even though it converted me to being a romance lover, I definitely thought there was some slow bits in the pacing. Everything else I loved. I loved Charlie, I loved Nora, I loved the focus on sisterhood, I loved the ending. I remember it made me cry. It was just that it had a bit of a lull in pacing, and I also wanted like 1 or 2 romance scenes more with them as a couple because I felt like we didn't get that much actual romance, you know? This is where it gets so hard because both these books made me sob, and they are 2 of my favourite romance books ever. But in number 2 spot, Beach Read. I love this book so much. I love Gus, I love January, I love the themes about grief and family dynamics and giving people second chances and things like that. I literally have not a bad thing to say about this. It's really tabbed, and I don't tab that many books. I only really tab the books that I love. Absolutely love it. Can't say anything bad about it, but Happy Place just pips it to the post. Happy Place has to be number 1 because I don't think I've ever cried so much at a book. I was crying to the point where my face was like blotchy and red and my eyes were swollen, and I had to send pictures to my friends because I don't cry very often at books at all, but this one really got me. I also just love that this book feels like Friends, the TV show, because there's such a big focus on found family friendship dynamics, and each member of the friendship group kind of represents like a different personality type and stereotype, and it very much focuses on how we grow apart from friends as we get older and like the ways that can impact us emotionally, because it is a difficult thing obviously. So I really liked the focus on that as much as I liked the romance, which was second chance romance. I personally think second chance romance is one of the best tropes. I think it's such an underrated romance trope. I love it because everybody in some way at some point in their life has either wanted to be given a second chance romantically or has given somebody a second chance. Like, it's just so relatable. So I personally love it, but this book is honestly one of my god tier 6-star books, so it has to be at the top of the leaderboard. This stack's a little hard to hold because there's a lot of books, but it's Ali Hazelwood, and again, I think I have controversial opinions. In last spot, we have everyone's favourite paranormal romance, Bride. I did not like this book. I did not like it. At first I gave it 4 stars because I felt pressured because everyone was loving it. Then I lowered it to like 3.75. Then I lowered it, I think, all the way to 3 because I really struggled with this book. There was a brief period, maybe like 3/4 of the way in, where I was really enjoying it. It was the bit where the romance started to pick up and we actually got some scenes between the love interest and the main character. However, everything else I did not like at all. Firstly, it is really slow in the first half, like literally nothing happens. The ending has so many plot holes and so many plot conveniences. I know it's paranormal romance, like not proper fantasy, but I still feel like the paranormal aspects and the politics between the species were like underdeveloped. It also just had a lot of STEM vibes still, which I wish sometimes if she's going to give us a new genre that she would stay away from, because we already get that in her contemporary romance. And I also just don't think personally that the Omegaverse shifter romance is for me, because I did not understand that spy scene. Like, I don't understand the logistics of how it works. So Bride, I do not like. I would actually sell it if I didn't have a personalised signed copy. I don't know where my copy has gone of the next one, but I would put Deep End here. I actually really did enjoy this. I think I've settled on a 4.25 star rating. It was fun. It was sports romance, which if you don't know is one of my favourite romance subgenres. I loved the love interest. I thought the spice was great. I know a lot of people didn't like the spice. I really liked the spice. However, it was too long, and the girl code aspect I did not like. I did not like Penn as a character. I did not like that it was dating her friend's ex. Yeah, it just didn't hit the same as some of her others, but it was still a really fun time. I ate it up fairly quickly. Like, I got through it. It was not a bad book. It's just not my favourite by her. Oh, I should mention that I'm also not including her novellas in this because I just feel like it's not fair to compare short novellas against like a full-length book. So I'm only doing her full-length ones in this, but I have read the novellas too. Then we have Check and Mate. Really enjoyed this. Gave it 4.5 stars. It's YA, so obviously it does not have the same level of like spice, although it was quite spicy for a YA because there were some scenes in there. Really enjoyed the family dynamics and Mallory dealing with misogyny in the chess world. It was STEM again, but I love that in her contemporary settings. This one was just like a really, really fun, good time. I can't really fault it. There's nothing I can criticise about it. It's just that it doesn't stand out to me as much as the other ones we have coming up. Oh, here's my copy of Deep End. I forgot I had the special edition of this one, so I was looking for the paperback, but I actually have this gorgeous edition. But in third place, these two, I need to read one of these again, just to have like a fresh comparison in my mind, but I think I would put Love Theoretically in third place. 4.5 stars. Ate it up. Loved the pop culture and the Twilight references throughout it. Loved our main character so much and the dynamic with her roommate. Loved the romance to an extent. I remember like the enemies to lovers was kind of irking me a bit at times, and he's not my favourite love interest of Ali's, therefore it's third place. Oh my god, I'm forgetting a whole book. That was not third place, it was fourth place. Third place is actually The Love Hypothesis. This was the first one I read by her, actually the second rom-com I ever read after Book Lovers. I actually love this. I know a lot of people don't like this, but I love it. I love Adam Carlson so much. I love Olive. I love Grumpy Sunshine trope, so this is perfect for that because they are so different. I love the STEM setting, obviously, and the fact that it's like workplace romance as well. I read this though when I first started my Booktok journey, I think 2021 or 2022. So I would like to reread it and see if my opinion still stands the same, but it was a good book. Now is where it gets complicated because now we have two of my god tier romance books. I actually don't think I can pick a favourite between them because they feel quite different for me, even though they are the same author. But just for nostalgia purposes, I'm going to keep the one I've reread the most times at the top of the list, which would make Not in Love in second place. So Not in Love is a very different book for Ali. As she says in her author's note, it is much more somber in tone. It has kind of not darker but like sadder themes and like actual themes in it rather than just the romance. It looks at impoverished childhoods and childhood neglect and food poverty, and I found that hit really, really hard. And I absolutely love the two main characters in this. They both have like quite deep trauma, so they haven't made like the healthiest romantic decisions in the past, but the way they come together is really, really special, and I just loved it. It made me so emotional. I would recommend this one even if you haven't liked her other books. Just give it a go. It is very spicy though, like very spicy, because a lot of their relationship is them as friends with benefits. However, I loved the spice, so this is a 5-star book for me. Which leaves Love on the Brain as my favourite Ali Hazelwood book. And again, I think this is super unpopular. I never see people talking about how much they love this one compared to like Love Hypothesis or Love Theoretically. I know a lot of people really, really love. But this is mine because I think it has the perfect mixture and blend of humour, spice, just everything. I'm not going to review it or talk about it too much because I do have a God tier romance video that I'll link above, but it's just perfect. Love both the characters. I personally connected to the health problem that the main character has in it, which made it even more personal and relatable for me. Loved the actual romantic developments, loved the pop culture references, loved the side characters. This is God tier. God, I need a bloody tea break. That was a long rambling. Are you even British though if you don't have a cup of tea? Okay, now we're talking Queen of Hockey romance herself, Elle Kennedy. Ain't no way I'm holding all of those books because I have a whole shelf basically pretty much dedicated to Elle Kennedy. Absolutely love her. Have read the College Diaries series, although I've not done Charlie Method yet. I've read the Off Campus series, Briar U, so we're going to talk those 3 series. Last place has to be the play. I literally remember nothing about that one. I did do it on audio, which doesn't help because I'm not really like an romance on audio girly, but I know that a lot of people also, that's their least favourite. It just didn't stand out to me compared to others in her series. And actually, same with The Dare, which I would also put just one above that, but again, don't really remember anything about them. They were just like bang average, nowhere near as good as some of her other books. This is when it then gets a little bit hard. I'm not going to include, I'm looking at the books by the way, I'm not going to include The Legacy because again it's novellas. Here I would go The Mistake, and I know a lot of people love John Logan and I love Logan too. I didn't love Grace, however. She was fine, don't get me wrong, I didn't connect to her like some of the other female main characters, and their story wasn't my favourite tropes. It was just like personal enjoyment of the tropes are what has impacted that ranking rather than it being boring or like a bad book, if that makes sense. I do remember, however, crying with laughter in the car with my book bestie Polly because there's a bit where she talks about going on holiday to Egypt and something about the way it was read on audio was so funny to us. But anyway, that's another story. That one is there. Then I think I'm going to give another unpopular opinion and we're going to go with The Chase. Loved Summer so much. Loved her. Loved the kind of ADHD representation. Did really like the themes and the plot. Don't love Fitzy. I feel like, you know, when people do those videos that are like, what are book couples that are definitely getting a divorce? They are one of them because he is a walking red flag. My guy is so judgmental towards her. I don't forgive him. I know he has like apologised and she's forgiven him for that. I haven't. I hold a grudge. We really just got Briar U out of the way there, huh? This is where it gets really hard because I genuinely love all of the rest of the books, but I'm gonna put Dixon Rule here. I love Diana. I loved the theme of domestic violence being explored because it is obviously so prevalent in society. Loved the characters, but it didn't have much hockey in and it very much had like a different vibe to the setting. So even though it was still a 4.5-star rating, I'm going to put the Dixon Rule here. Then I'm going to go to the score. Really loved this plot and really loved Ali as a character. Loved that we got a lot of friendship dynamics explored because of them sort of almost feeling like a secret relationship for some of the book. Just overall really enjoyed that book, gave it I think 4.5 stars. However, there were points where Dean really got on my nerves and really started to pee me off a little bit. Didn't like the way he treated people all the time, but it was understandable given his grief, and the grief storyline was really, really well done. So that is in that place. Okay, so now we have left The Goal, The Deal, and The Graham Effect, and in third spot has to be The Goal. Honestly, the fact that it's even in third place in my ranking is wild, because if you know me, you know I hate the pregnancy trope, but it is done so well here. And I think because you know going into it that the book is going to be about a pregnancy, it's not the same as one suddenly cropping up in the third act breakup as a means of conflict. It just doesn't feel the same. And also, like, obviously they don't want this baby and they barely know each other, so the whole book is about them trying to reconcile this fact, and it's done really, really well. And obviously Sabrina has a really difficult home life and very much a different lifestyle to Tucker, and I definitely enjoyed the kind of dynamics between them, exploring that, and almost like the power imbalance that Sabrina deals with. Tucker is one of the best book boyfriends in this series as well. He is so cute. I love him. He really lives up to the DILF title, honestly. So even though pregnancy is not something I like to read about, The Goal is a really good one. In second place, we have The Deal. Again, I know most people's favourite book by Elle Kennedy is The Deal, and I still love it. Don't get me wrong, it was a 5-star read. The way she wrote about SA was so well handled. Garrett Graham, we all love him. You know we do. He's one of the best book boyfriends ever. Like, where would hockey romance be without Garrett Graham? But there's just something about the Graham effect that I love a little bit more. I think it's because I just love Luke Ryder so much. There's nothing deep or serious about my preference for the Graham effect other than the fact I love Luke Ryder so much. And I do think as someone who used to play Sims, Sims Family Tree, if you know, you know, I just really like next generation stories because that's how I always played that game, and it gives me like a sense of nostalgia. That's such a weird crossover, I know, but the Sims girlies get it.
Hi, this is future me here to say that I'm an idiot because I completely forgot about The Risk. Don't ask me how, because it is literally one of my favourite romance books ever. I actually included it in last week's God tier romance books. So how I've forgotten it, I'll never know. Realistically, those three are so close within each other that it's impossible to call. But Brenna and Jake are very special to me, so they are definitely either top or second.
Okay, so that is my Elle Kennedy ranking. It's the first time I've actually ranked her books, and I'm very surprised at myself. Am I about to have to rank Sally Rooney books? First thing to note is that all 4 of these books are 5 stars, and she is my favourite author of all time currently. Whether that will ever change, I don't know, but she is my favourite author. I love her writing, I love her books, obviously. I love what she stands for. She's a boss. In fourth place is Beautiful World, Where Are You? So it is a 5-star, but the first time I read it, it was a 4-star, and I physically read that. And it was a 4-star because this book has a heavy hand when it comes to the philosophical discussions between Eileen and Alice. The emails are lengthy, they're a bit rambly, sometimes they're a little bit difficult to get your head around. And there is also one of the most unlikable male main characters in this ever, Felix. However, I gave it a reread last year on audio, and that really, really impacted my enjoyment. I enjoyed it so much more, and I changed the rating to 5 stars. The audio is so well done, and if you've not read this but you want to give it a go, I do suggest doing it via audio because it brings so much life and interest to those lengthy emails. So it's not my favourite, it's in last spot, but I still very much enjoy it, and I actually enjoyed it more on reread. In third spot is Conversations with Friends. This feels criminal because I literally sobbed at this book. So to have it in third spot feels so weird, but it is incredible. It's not going to be for everyone because it really focuses on messy romantic connections, and there's like cheating kind of, and there is a really unlikable side character in this, or personally I think she's unlikable. In fact, all of the characters are kind of unlikable and heinous. But the themes in it are really unique, and it has a focus on women's health as well in the second half, and that's the bit I sobbed at. As someone with chronic illness, I just like really related to Frances, really related to what she was going through, and felt really bad for her. For a debut book, this is so good, and again, just such a distinct writing style, but it is crazy how her writing has developed since then. This bit is so hard because one is objectively a better book, and one is just really impactful on me and my life because I relate to it. So I think we're gonna have to tie these two. We're gonna have to cheat and have a tied first place for Normal People and Intermezzo. Normal People I read in 2019, and it's been my favourite book ever since. It is not for everyone. Again, it is basically like 300 pages or however long it is of miscommunication. And obviously, if you've heard about this book, then you'll likely know it doesn't have any quotation and speech marks, which makes people annoyed sometimes. But the girls that get it, because Marianne and Connell are so relatable and they are everything. They are the definition of yearning. Like, the only thing with more yearning in is bloody Pride and Prejudice. For such a short book, realistically, the best thing about this is the themes that are included, because it has so many: domestic violence, female sexuality, men's mental health as a whole, class division, self-identity, like family dynamics. It just has so many different things that are really well explored. And the first line in this book just tells you how the book is going to go so perfectly, and I'm going to read it to you. Marianne answers the door when Connell rings the bell. That's literally it, but it literally sums up the whole book. But then Intermezzo is her latest release, and honestly, the way her writing has developed is absolutely insane. This book is a masterclass in character study, because the two main characters that feature, who are brothers, have different writing styles for their chapters. And I don't just mean their tone of voice is different. I don't just mean that their tone of voice is distinct and you can tell who's who. I literally mean the way she has crafted the sentences is different. It's like two different authors wrote it. Ivan, who is younger, a little bit more logical, a little bit more sensible, but also quite cold and unfeeling at times, has a writing style that flows and shows his handle on his current grief much better. And we have Peter, who is an older brother, who is traditionally the more responsible one, traditionally the more charismatic one, but is currently maybe not handling the grief so well, and his writing style is so fragmented, you literally can't tell what is thought versus what is speech versus just, yeah, it's very complex but incredible. And obviously, as mentioned, it has this core theme of grief. I read this just after I'd lost someone, and it was like the perfect catharsis. It also looks at romantic relationships and breaking like traditional dynamics. There's so much I could say about this, but it's incredible, and that's why it's tied with Normal People, even though I relate to Normal People and it's my favourite book of all time. Okay, now let's go on to doing series. First one we're going to do is Zodiac Academy. There's 9 books in that series. I'm not going to do the side novellas because we'll be here all day. And similarly, I'm not going to do the rest of the Twisted Sisters books that I've read, just because there are so many, and they're in like literally like 23, and they're in different genres, so it's hard to compare them. Like, how do you compare a mafia romance against a fantasy romance? Like, that would be too difficult. So I'm just going to do Zodiac. But again, it's easy for last place. It has to be book number 1, because book number 1 is, honestly, I can say it as a Zodiac Academy stan, not good at all. I read that the first time I read it. I really did. The amount of missing commas, the run-on sentences and long lengthy paragraphs, there's typos everywhere, the actual plot itself, especially if before that book you've never read bully romance like I hadn't, it just is like, what the hell am I reading? So in last place is book number 1. Then I'm going to go with book number 6. Maybe a bit unpopular, but book number 6 dragged a bit for me because of the way Tori was being treated and the situations that Tori was in and the way she was responding to certain situations. There is a period between books 4 and 6, I think, where Tori just gets unbearable, and that's when Darcy became my favourite twin. She's hard to manage sometimes in those books, and in that one in particular, it just felt like, aside from her being a little bit insufferable at times, the actual things that were happening to her were so dark. You just couldn't get any reprieve or relief in that book. There wasn't as much humour. There obviously wasn't as much happy-go-lucky romance. It wasn't as fun to read, though completely necessary to the story. It just isn't my favourite. Then we're going to go back to early in the series, and I'm going to put book number 2 here. Pretty similar reasons for book number 1. Just early in the series, the books are shorter, so there's not as much plot in them. The writing is not as good. Obviously, we don't have as much romance and spice at this point, so it's hard to compare them to some of the later books. Okay, so we've done 1, 6, 2. Then I'm going to go with book 5, again, because of how much Tori infuriates me. And then I'm going to go with number 4, again, because of how much Tori infuriates me. So that leaves us with 3, 7, 8 and 9. I think here I'm going to put number 7. Love book number 7. Obviously the first half of the book is very slow paced, necessary I still feel, and for good reason, because then that lulls you into a false sense of security for what's going to come in the second half of the book. But it therefore does mean that it just has less action than some of the other books that I'm about to rank, so that's where I'd put number 7. Then out of 3, 8 and 9 is really hard. I'm going to put number 8 here. It's a very, 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 very long book. I do really, really love it. There's so many hilarious bits because obviously the found family dynamic has developed so much by this point that they all have these different types of relationships with each other, but it is a very long book. So I'm going to put that one there. This is so hard. I'm going to put number 9 here, even though it delivered the absolute perfect conclusion to the series. It was a 5-star read. It was full of action, purely for selfish reasons that book number 3 is my favourite, I think. Like, honestly, if you asked me on a different day, the answer would probably be different. But I think book number 3 is my favourite is because we get the developments mostly between a certain couple, who are my favourite couple. And obviously, if you don't know already, Lance Orion is my favourite ever romantasy book boyfriend. So book 3 does kind of feel like his book. It's not too long, it's not too chunky. It was full of tension. I remember there's like some funny bits in it. I just like where that storyline went. And it has a very special place in my heart because that's when I started to become a Zodiac Academy fan at that point. I was like really hooked on book 3. So I'm going to put it as book 3 is my favourite in the series. So I think that's all we've got time for today. Honestly, I could probably keep going with this one because there's so many authors that I have read a large portion of their books. Once I find an author that I love, I really like try and go through their catalogue. So if you'd like a part 2 to this video, just let me know. But if not, don't forget to like, share, subscribe and comment your favourite book from any of those authors or series that you have read and let me know if our ranking is different. I will see you next week at the same time for another video and I hope you have the best week ever. Love you, bye!